I've been struggling again lately with just having a place to do work in the garage, and also just being able to find my tools because they've been scattered all throughout the garage again. I lost the audio for this first part of the video, but the gist of it is there used to be a shelf up behind the trailer from a previous owner, and you can tell by the holes in the wall that they didn't mount it properly and it looks like it just fell off at some point. So I went through and began the process of properly mounting a shelf on the studs of that wall just to help keep me organized. Haven't seen this part of the garage in a little bit. Get our shelves up here momentarily, but it's just kind of nice to see these guys side by side. Got a 45 and a 48. That Bantam just looks so good. I'm so glad to be finished the restoration on that. As you'll see, of course, we left the character. Somehow it just didn't feel right because this trailer it's been in the family since 1945. It's got some family significance, though it's kind of distant at this point. A lot of the family probably doesn't really know or remember, but it just didn't feel right to remove every single dent and ding to do a perfect restoration. So we just brought it back kind of as it was. There were a couple of things, like the frame had a bend in it. We had to fix that. But heck, I think this fender over here, maybe we should have fixed that one, but it's powder coated, so it's not going to rust or anything. And we had to put the suspension back, but man, it just looks so minty. Not just because it's green, but because it's all powder coated and beautiful. I kind of do wish I'd had a YouTube channel at the time when we went through this guy. You wouldn't think it's all that complicated, and realistically it's not, but it was just nice to wrench on this thing and learn on it a little bit, especially given the modifications it had, the suspension and such. It was nice to bring it back to factory. We even have the correct coupler for it, it's just not on here right now. But we've even got the top bows for it. I think I've got them in the room over there. And we had a cover made for it that's not exactly original, but it gives it the look. So it's kind of nice to have. If you're watching this video, chances are you probably run into a problem of trying to find the tool for whatever the job is at hand, and you can't find it. So you have to spend 10 or 15 minutes digging through whatever junk drawers or toolboxes you've got just to find the thing. Or maybe you've run into the problem where you have a project that you want to get done, but you don't have a good workspace to do it, or you do have a workspace, but it's cluttered and covered in stuff. That's kind of the curse of having a horizontal surface in your garage or workshop or home or anywhere. Horizontal surfaces attract stuff. Of course, horizontal space is a necessary evil now that I've taken on a significant, what is likely to be a multi-year Jeep restoration project. And that is in addition to every other little thing I have sitting around. I do a few woodworking projects here and there. Some of it involves chiseling, and some of it just involves a bunch of cuts and nailing it or screwing it together. Lately, I have a pretty bad habit of going to the local flea markets and finding tools, and they end up coming home with me, even when they're in pretty rough condition. Until lately, I haven't had a really good collection of tools. It's only been in the past few years, as we worked on this Jeep trailer project, and as I've started to get into a few things around the house, that I've started to acquire some of the tools that I've needed just one at a time, or as I happen to see them, knowing I didn't have them. As you can sort of see, I have 4 workbenches of a sort there in the garage. All 4 of them are covered in tools and clutter and unfinished projects and things of that sort. I was even using the table saw as a work table or storage table of sorts. But now it's gotten to the point where I can barely get Jeep stuff done because I don't have a flat space to set a brake drum on or set a locking hub on to clean and work on. To help solve this problem, I was able to get some scrap pieces of pegboard from my parents that was left over from a similar cleanup project that they did at their house. So I was able to effectively get a 4x8 sheet for free. The price was right. This is going to allow me to get a lot of the larger tools that I use commonly that may or may not fit in the regular toolbox up on the wall and in a place where I can find them and get at them quickly when I need to do a project, and I can have a place to store them after I'm done. I haven't decided yet, but I may go the prison workshop route on this one, where everything has a place and it has a little outline drawn on the pegboard where it's supposed to go, and at the end of the day, if there's a silhouette there instead of a tool, someone's in trouble, namely the guy who didn't clean up after himself and put all his tools away. Realistically though, I needed to spend a whole day out in the garage anyways. Obviously, when you're doing YouTube videos, you're seeing a lot of yourself, and sometimes you notice that the way you look on camera is not actually the way you look in your head. For some reason, in my head, I still look like I'm 20 or 21, in college, overweight, but not that. So it's a little bit sobering. The pandemic has been pretty hard on me, though not nearly as hard as it has been for a lot of people out there. Comparably, I've had it pretty good, being able to maintain a full-time job, not losing any hours, and still having the ability to work remotely when necessary.
Obviously, with the stress of being an essential worker in the IT field, stress eating becomes a thing. Comfort food all the time. Unfortunately, that has really taken a toll on me in the past 8 to 10 months. Probably to the tune of about 60 pounds. Lately, working remote has been the rule versus the exception. Unfortunately, having a desk job that's also an IT job tends to wear on you as you're sitting a lot at a desk for 8 hours a day. Even when I'm at home, I find myself sitting in front of a desk for 8 hours a day, if not more. So obviously a little bit of physical activity is good for me. And all of this activity with the garage is going to be beneficial in some way. Though certainly it wouldn't kill me to get a treadmill and maybe start lifting weights again. One of the things I remember a lot growing up is seeing my dad all kinds of frustrated because he needed a tool that he knew he had, but he couldn't put his hands on it, so he couldn't do the project or the task or the honey-do list as it was back when I was growing up. And that caused all sorts of frustration. Even in recent years, he's kind of had the same bits of frustration. Frustrations that I have lately certainly shared. I know that I have the tools. I've made so many trips to the flea market lately, just picking up an old rusty tool or a slightly worn tool here and there. Many that I knew I didn't have, and they were cheap, so I might need them someday. It's quite possible that I have a few forgotten gems over in that utility room. Hopefully I'll be able to get in there soon and pull some of those out as well, so I can actually take stock in what tools I do and don't have.
Well, I've come a long way in what was probably a blessedly short amount of time for you guys watching. It doesn't look like much has changed, honestly. But to me, I see a lot of potential now where there wasn't potential before. So now I get to begin the long and arduous task of getting all the little random tools that are sitting out everywhere, scattered throughout the garage, and some in that utility room actually, and getting them up on the pegboard wall. I don't remember if I really talked about it at the very beginning, but I was gifted these scrap pieces by my parents, who did a similar pegboard wall in my dad's shed. And they had a 4x8 sheet and 3 pieces left over. So I just put it up however it would fit. There's potential here. Now I get to go through and figure out where to put everything. This guy, little drawers with the makeshift tabletop, was left here by the previous owners. I thought it was a nicer piece of furniture that they were just using as a workbench over in the storage room over there. Turned out to, maybe the drawers used to be a nicer piece, but that top is just plywood and those legs are similarly, basic construction. So it might just barely fit under that workbench. And that workbench itself is kind of a salvage from a bunch of junk. that was tossed out, so it fits the theme. This is junk that was left behind to be someone else's problem, and that was thrown out to not be their problem anymore. And now it's my problem, so I'm just glad to have a flat surface. And even with the Honda in here, it's still quite cramped. Though, surprisingly on this side, it seems so much more open. I wonder why. A little bit tight, but so much room for activities. Well, that was a short time for you guys, but it took a while for me to get this far. I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I'm just putting tools up as I find them. Woodworking and grinding and stuff over there. Big empty spot, because I've still got quite a bit to find a home for, and I haven't even gotten to the toolboxes yet. We're getting there, but I'm almost out of hooks.